Hey up, Noir Nerd here. Greetings to you, your neighbourhood Noir Nerd, developer, programmer, artist, arsehole. Anyway, I thought I'd do another video talking about the Metaverse. Which is a concept I've only just really started becoming familiar with. And this one I wanted to just look at a few different opinions on the Metaverse. What that means, what it could mean, how it might develop, what's actually happening with it, where the term comes from, etc, etc. So I'm just going to look at like a few different media sources, talk about each. It's not going to be per se a technical vlog because I don't know much about it really. I know it's sort of like something to do with the intersection of VR and the real world, and that that's about as much as I know. Okay, so yeah, let's look at Mark in the Metaverse. Facebook's CEO on why the social network is becoming a Metaverse company. So this has sort of become very big news recently because Facebook have said that they are looking to develop a Metaverse. Okay, as June came to an end, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg told his employees about an ambitious new incentive. The future of the company would go far beyond its current project of setting up a set of connected social apps and become some hardware to support them. Maximalist interconnected server network straight out of sci-fi, a world known as the Metaverse. I mean, I guess in a sense this has sort of been the end game of all big tech nerdy companies and people, is like a literal virtual world that is anyway, let's read on a bit. Companies' divisions focused on products for communities, creators, commerce, and blah 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 blah. Let's just see. Okay, the Metaverse having a moment. Coined in Snow Crash, Neil Stephenson's 92 sci-fi novel, the term refers to a convergence of physical, augmented, and virtual reality in a shared online space. So it's a mixture of the virtual, and the physical, and the simulated, I guess. Earlier this month, the New York Times explored how companies and products, including Epic Games' Fortnite, Roblox, and even Animal Crossing, increasingly had metaverse-like elements. Okay, so let's have a look at this, just because I should read these key things. It speaks in this article about a essay by Matthew Bell about key tech characteristics. So let's just like see what the discussion is out there about what it actually is, I guess. What it is, where to find it, who built it, and Fortnite. So this is from Matthew Bell. Okay, how long is this introduction? Okay, it's quite long, this. Let's just skip straight to the what is, because I'm not going to sit here for 20 minutes and read all of this. What is the Metaverse? The most common conception of the Metaverse stems from science fiction. Here, the Metaverse is typically portrayed as a sort of digital jacked-in internet manifestation of actual reality, but one based in a virtual, often theme park-like world like this portrayed in Ready Player One and The Matrix. And with all these sort of experiences likely to be an aspect of the Metaverse, the conception is limited in a sense. Same way movies like Tron portray the internet as a literal digital information superhighway of bits. Just as it was hard to envision in 1982 what the internet of 2020 would be, and harder still to communicate to those who had never logged into that time, we really don't know how to describe the Metaverse. However, we can identify core attributes. The Metaverse we think, so this is all just like formative really. Be persistent. It's always there. It never resets. Be synchronous and live. A living experience exists consistently for everyone in real time. no cap to concurrent users, while also providing each user with an individual sense of presence. Everyone can be a part of the metaverse and participate in a special event, place activity together at the same time with an individual agency. Be a fully functioning economy. Okay, individuals and businesses. Sort of a lot of this sort of reminds me of, this is an early sort of simulated world was Second Life. I didn't like. I mean, I get that some of this will probably be different. I'm not read through everything, but how is it different from things like Second Life? Being experienced that spans both digital and physical worlds, I guess, because of the physical aspect as well. Private and public networks and open and closed platforms. That's just a jargony way of just saying incorporate both digital and physical spaces. Offer unprecedented intrapolarity of data, digital items, assets, content, and so forth. Your Counter-Strike gun skin could be used to decorate a gun in Fortnite, so it could just be you could pass over skins and things between apps or games, I suppose. So everything would just work together. But then that, in terms of how getting that to work, I mean, can you? I don't know. I mean, obviously, it relies upon certain systems being open and sort of everyone working with a similar, I don't know, base. Because a lot of the problems these days, even getting cross. This might be a weird example. I don't know, but even if you've got getting things to look and work the same in different internet browsers is a problem enough. Not so much these days, it's a lot better these days, but I wonder if there will be hiccups in that regard. I don't know. Be populated by content and experiences, creating blah 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 by an incredible wide range of contributors, some of whom are independent individuals. So these are the core ideas, they think. These are a few ideas that may be core to the metaverse. I still don't really fully get. Okay, it's often, so this is what it's often likened to, but not incorrectly likened to. So I was saying about this myself actually. Virtual worlds. Virtual worlds and games with AI-driven characters have existed for decades, as have those populated with real-life humans in real time. This isn't a meta universe, just a synthetic and fictional one designed for a single purpose as a game. So it's not that. A virtual space. So yeah, I also compared it to Second Life. So this is why this guy argues it's not. Digital content experiences like Second Life are often seen as proto-metaverses. So I guess they're sort of prototypal. Because they lack game-like goals, virtual hangouts. However, these are not sufficient attributes for the metaverse. So I'm still struggling to understand what the difference is really. I guess because it's there's an overlap with the physical real world, but virtual reality... blah, blah, blah. It's a way of it's just a way of interfacing. That makes sense, I guess. Digital and virtual economy, blah blah blah. It's just saying about World of Warcraft, a game. Well, no, I mean I guess that makes sense that it's not just a game, because games are just usually got a narrative, they've got a story, or they've got some purpose. Whereas this sounds like just more of a it's not orientated around specific objectives, as they say here. A theme park, virtual theme park or Disneyland. No, a new app store. No, it's not a new app store. So it's gonna, from what I understand, it will have aspects of all these things, but will sort of mix them in a new way. But it doesn't. It seems a bit vague as to actually how it will be different. I guess that's an exciting thing, really, in truth. I guess that is an exciting thing. It means that there's potential there to innovate, potential there to experiment, and potential there to create something genuinely new. Because, I get that the guy has described some tenets of what it would involve, but it still, to me, seems a little vague. I get that it'll be like a crossover. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the technical stuff, if there's anything here. I'll just skip to it if there's chapters. No, maybe not. This is a very long post, which is good, but I'm just trying to find a way through it now. Yeah. How does one simply build a metaverse? So there's already a lot of companies looking into this, I think. I think Epic Games are, obviously Facebook. I guess all the big tech companies are going to be investigating this at the minute. I wonder what place there will be for like more indie developers though, because like that's my position. That's most developers are not, haven't got the resources of a Facebook or a Google. So hopefully there'll be resources, and I mean there is already, I guess. I mean, like if you have the time and you have the knowledge and you have the will, I guess you can, of course you can create these projects. But I mean, I guess like I was mentioning before, like part of the idea of this is that, from what I understand, is that there'll be lots of user created content. Not only does the metaverse require infrastructure that currently does not exist. Yeah. As a result, most of this is more going into the technical aspect of the infrastructure of the internet. Okay, let's just have a look at this. This might be quite interesting. As well, most of the internet's underlying systems are orientated around one server talking to another server on end-user device. The model continues today. There are billions of computers on people on today's Facebook, for example, but each user shares an individual connection with the Facebook server, not with any other user. Accordingly, when you access content from another user, you're just really pulling the information that Facebook is giving you. The earliest form of pseudo-synchronous programs were text chats, but you're still just pushing largely static data to a server and pulling the latest information and forming it when and where it's needed. The internet simply wasn't designed for persistent versus continuous communication, let alone persistent communication that is synchronized in precise real time and countless others. To operate, the metaverse requires something more akin to video conferencing and video games. These experiences work because of persistent connections that update each other in real time and with a degree of accuracy that other programs don't definitely need. Yeah, okay. And however, they tend to have high levels of concurrency. Most video chat programs max out beyond a few people, and once you hit 50, you tend to need to live stream or broadcast to your viewers rather than share a two-way connection. Okay, yeah. Okay. To this end, part of the I'll just read this just so I've got it covered, I guess. To this end, most of the reason that the battle royale genre is only recently popular in video games now is because it's only recently possible to play with so many users. Although some games with highest concurrencies have existed more than 20 years, such as Second Life or Warcraft, they essentially spoof the experience by sharding and splitting users into different worlds and servers. EVE Online, for example, can technically have more than 100,000 players in the same game, but they are split across different galaxies, i.e. server nodes. As a result, a player only sees or interacts with a small handful of other players at one time. In addition, travelling to another galaxy means disconnecting from one server and loading another, which the game is able to narratively hide by forcing players to jump to light speed. Blah blah blah, EVE Online. A number of companies are working... Okay, so standard that's rambling, but I need to get onto the standard protocols and adaptation. That's the bit I'm interested in. The internet as we experience it today works because of standard protocols, blah blah blah, file loading communications, TCP, IP, all that sort of thing. The WebSocket program, these include everything from consumer recognizable GIF types to the WebSocket protocol that underlies every form of internet connection between a browser and other servers on the internet. Right, okay. Right. The metaverse will require an even... So this is more going into like the sort of like technical infrastructure changes that will need to take place for this to actually become a reality. The metaverse will require an even broader, more complex and resilient set of SMPs. What's more, the importance of interoperability and live synchronous experience really needs to prune some existing standards and standardise around a smaller set per function. Blah blah, image formats. Okay, right. Amazon and Facebook use similar technologies, but they aren't designed to transition into another. Blah blah blah. This will be enormous. Okay, this will be enormous, difficult, and take difficult. The more valuable and so it's talking basically about creating these standards and having everybody be adhered to them and agree on them, I guess. We'll need new rules for censorship, of course, yeah, that's true. Controls of communication, regulatory enforcement. We have enough issues with that today as it is, actually. The prevention of online radicalisation and many more challenges. So I guess we need to sort of really even think more deeply about those issues, because you can imagine in a metaverse world, then it would be even probably presenting more even damaging. While the establishment of standards usually involve meetings, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So this is talking about what Epic are doing. Best example, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm probably not going into this too much. I think I'll go on to different. This is a very good article, but it's very long and it's too. So let's have a look. So this is more of the general article on Verge. I'll just return back to this. No one company will run the metaverse. It'll be decentralized, which of course is always been a key concept in the internet from its earliest days, which is good. Though just because Zuckerberg's saying that doesn't mean it's going to be that way, but it's good that they've got that in mind at least when it comes to it, so it'll be an embodied internet. Okay, yeah, it's just saying about talking here about how do we decide how it's governed, how it's moderated. I guess, all of this stuff, it's like it does sort of feel like a cyberpunk movie. We're starting to transition into the cyberpunk world of when I've been thinking about this metaverse thing, it just reminds me of that scene in Johnny Mnemonic, which is not a great film, granted, but there is a good scene in it where he goes into a sort of like futuristic version of the internet where there's well, I'll show you the clip, but it's sort of like it's a virtual space. He's got a headset on, but I think he's like going into actual sort of physical spaces as well within this virtual environment, and it has like it's like a whole other world underneath the world. If that makes sense, it's like really makes sense. It makes sense when you see it on screen now. But okay, let's just jump. I know I'm jumping around a bit, but so this is Mark Zuckerberg talking to The Verge. Okay, that's misinformation. I'm not really interested in that. What I want to see, what is the actual question? What are Facebook's actual plans for building this metaverse thing? Okay, and you can think about the metaverse as an embodied internet, where instead of just viewing content, you are in it. So it's like an embedded 3D virtual world, I guess. But again, it's not just Second Life. So how is it different? And you feel present with people if you're in other places having different experiences you don't necessarily have on a 2D app. Well, that makes sense. Like if it's 3D and everything, it's a different experience. They think about just virtual reality, which is basically my perception of it, and that's clearly a part of what we're investing in because it's technology that delivers the clearest form of presence. But the metaverse just isn't virtual reality, so let's just see what he actually said. It's going to be accessible across all our different computing programs, VR and AR, but also PC and game devices and mobile devices. So that I guess that does set it apart from virtual reality, where you need a headset and everything. But I sort of figure that as like, well, it's just going to be like a sort of 3D internet, I guess, like a 3D world you explore, but on any device, like a phone. Phones are advancing so fast that you can already run. I've done. You can run 3D worlds on your phone, whether it be for an app or even a web browser. You can use 3GS or A-Frame or whatever. A-Frame definitely supports mobile, so that's definitely possible already. But yeah, let's go on. So, which a lot of people also think about the metaverse as probably something that's about gaming. Entertainment's going to be a part of it, but I don't think this is just gaming. I think there's a persistent, synchronous environment where you can be together, sort of a hybrid between social platform that you're actually embodied in. So that can be 3D, okay, the plot thickens, but it doesn't have to be. You might be able to jump into an experience like a 3D concert or something, so you can get elements that are 2D or elements that are 3D. Overall, I think it's going to be a big part of the next chapter of the technology industry and something that we're really excited about. Okay. it just touches a lot of the big themes that we're working on. Think about things like community and the creators as one, or digital commerce as a second, or building out the next set of computing platforms like virtual and augmented reality to give people that sense of presence. Okay. As my hope, if we do this well, I think over the next 5 years or so, in the next chapter of our company, I think we'll effectively transition from seeing us as primarily being a social media company to being a metaverse company. So that's Facebook's big plan, I guess, big picture. Obviously, all the work that we are doing across the apps that people build today contributes to the vision in terms of building community and creators. So there's a lot to jump into here. Yeah, fairly far future vision. So yeah, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg here is sort of parroting the line he always goes about social media bringing people together, helping people deliver and experience a much stronger sense of presence with the people they care about, the people they work with, the place they want to be. So it's just the typical social Facebook message. The reality is that somewhere today, the mobile internet, we already have something that a lot of people access from the moment they wake up to when they get to bed. I don't know about you, but a lot of mornings I reach for my phone by my side. Yeah. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Just rambling, wobbling here. Okay, so I should probably just talk a little bit more about my own thoughts, really, apart from just regurgitating this. So, like, it does sound like an interesting concept, this idea of a sort of 3D... No, not even necessarily 3D. I mean, the thing is, with this whole idea is that it does sound cool, it sounds interesting, but it also sounds hard to define. Like, I guess that's the case for most new technology or new technological ideas like the internet. If you tried to define that to somebody, I think 40 years ago, they would have had a hard time trying to describe it. I guess the technology will be driven obviously by, it'll be driven by profit, as all these things are, but also it has to evolve. It sounds like it's going to evolve quite slowly. It's not going to be like it's not going to be a 5-year thing that it's always done. But I guess in terms of like, if you want to get involved in developing for it, I'm not sort of. Let's have a look and see if anyone's putting. Developer tips or something. I don't know exactly what the metaverse means for developers. Let's look at this. The new stack. This might be quite interesting. Blah blah blah. This is the Virgin interview referring to. Yeah. Yeah, Greenfield, blah blah. Microsoft. Okay, so let's have a look at get involved. So let's have a look at how you can actually get involved in. This is an article written by Richard McManus. It's not my own thoughts, though. I'll add mine, I guess, as I go along. Microsoft Metaverse stack. A new layer of the infrastructure stack that's getting created as a digital blah blah blah, digital and physical worlds converged, which we talked about before, the digital enterprise metaverse. You referenced the metaverse stack that enables. Okay, so what is it? What's interesting about Microsoft's conception of the metaverse, they're very much modelled on the real world. There are no fantasy avatars in Microsoft Metaverse. So-called metaverse apps in Microsoft Universe will be underpinned by digital twins. Which digital models are anything physical or logical, from simple assets or products to complex environments. Just from the concept from the IoT Internet of Things world. It wants to provide a platform to digitally map and monitor everything in real world business environments. It's very business focused, I guess. Okay. HTML or 3D, this sounds interesting. This week's SIGGRAPH event, NVIDIA announced an expansion of its Omniverse program. Omniverse launched back in March 2019. Okay, so what does it do? It allows engineers to collaborate on building a physical product by working together on a digital representation of a product, so it's the digital twin philosophy again. Omniverse is based on open source technology called Universal Scene Description. USD is the HTML of 3D. Interesting. I've not heard of this before. So this is USD support. Apple supports it. Like the journey from HTML1 to HTML5, USD will evolve from its nascent state today to a more complete definition of the virtual world. Okay, this is interesting. So it's like a new sort of like language for sort of like, I guess, 3D markup, I suppose. Users can portal in and out of Omniverse to their workstations or laptops, he continued. Or they, in VR, they can mix with AR and anyone can view the scene on the Omniverse by streaming RTX. This is interesting. So there's a link here we can go to. I'll open it later. So Facebook was what we've already talked about a little bit before. Currently vaporware. Okay. The open metaverses. So we've already talked about Facebook quite a lot, so I won't go into that too much. Yeah. To WebAssembly or Free.js, which is like open. The Open Metaverse OS. That sounds quite interesting. I'll look at this quickly and then I'll end the video, I think. So Free.js is probably a good thing to look into, A-Frame as well, of course, but then there's other things too, which I've sort of looked into. The Open Metaverse OS, I've never heard of this, so let's have a look at this. This is quite long. Okay, I don't think I'll dive into this too much, but I'll leave a link to it below if you want to have a look. It looks like there's a lot out there to research on this topic. It's very contemporary, very cutting edge. So I don't know. I mean, it's an exciting time really for how, what will happen next in terms of the development of the internet. I've sort of had that intuition for a while that it's going to go more in the 3D sort of like simulated environment direction, which makes sense really. Everyone wants a more immersive experience and some. So yeah, interesting times, interesting stuff. I hope that's been somewhat useful. I mean, I just thought I wanted to research into the metaverse a bit, so I thought I might as well just record it and just give some reaction. But I hope any of that's been useful. I know I ramble a bit and I've been drinking coffee, so I've been going quite fast, but I think I'll leave it at that. I've been all a nerd. Alright, in a bit. Bye.